Hi, welcome back to ECS Coffee. My name's Jack, and today we're reviewing the Outin Nano portable espresso maker. And we're outside. So yeah, we're not in the studio today. We are outdoors in the Canadian Rockies because it would feel weird to review this indoors, really. But yeah, this is the Outin. It is a self-contained espresso maker that's completely portable and self-sufficient. So it's got its own battery inside. It charges with USB-C. It's great, and it's kind of all in one. Basically, everything you need is right here. This makes the coffee. So it charges with USB-C right on the back, and it has one button. So it's pretty darn simple. So not only is the machine capable of brewing espresso, but it's also capable of heating espresso, which is pretty cool. I think on the website it says that this thing can brew 5 espressos on one charge using cold water and heating it up and actually doing the entire process itself, or up to 200 using warm water. So if you have a campfire like that one, but it's actually burning, then you could heat up your own water, pour that in the top, use that, and it hardly uses any power. It'll brew it right away, and it's very quick and uses very little power. So you can get almost 200 cups done in one charge. So if you're just going out for one day and you want something to bring with you, just do cold water and pour it right in and have it heat it. You're not gonna be drinking more than 5 espressos in a day, but if you're going on a longer, more extended trip and you don't want to keep charging it, you can bring another form of water heating, whether it be a gas stove or a campfire. You can heat your own water and you can do it that way, and you can get a whole lot more out of the battery charge. The video might get darker over the coming minutes as the sun goes down over the horizon and into the clouds. But yeah, so there's 2 ways to use this machine. The cup right here is on the bottom, which is kind of neat. We'll put that there. And then this section on the bottom just comes off. It unscrews, which is really nice, and you can chuck that aside. Now, right now I have the Nespresso capsule fitting in. So right here is kind of the actual brew unit, I want to say, and then in here is where the capsule's held. So there is an equivalent one right here for ground espresso, and it's basically just a tiny, tiny little portafilter. So you put the ground espresso into there, you tamp it down with the bottom of this, which is the scoop. So you fill this with ground espresso, and then you tamp it down, and then you put this back on top, and then it's ready to go. But we're gonna start out with the Nespresso compatible capsules. So I've got right here an espresso capsule from Lamborghini, because Lamborghini makes Nespresso now, and it's pretty simple. So we're just gonna pop it right in there, squish it in, and then grab this. It goes upside down, which is kind of a bit weird. Put that on top, and that's basically it. So we get the device now, we screw it in, and then pop on the cup, and it's ready to go for the most part. We do need to add water, so I'll grab some water and we'll do that. And we're gonna brew an espresso from scratch with cold water, and we'll see how it performs. Okay, so I have the water. It's getting a bit colder, so I also have a hat now. But it's pretty simple. So we just pop the top off that. On the inside of this, there are some markings for milliliter levels. So there's 50, 70, and max. I don't know what max is. Max is just above 70. So 50 mils is what they recommend to get a 30 mil espresso shot out of. So if you're doing ground espresso, you put in 50, you get 30. I assume it's the same for the Nespresso. I'm not certain though, because it didn't really say when I was reading up on it. So we're gonna put in 50 mils of water roughly, and then we'll hit brew. This is cold water, by the way. We put in a little too much, but we'll be fine. Okay, so the machine's pretty simple. If you're brewing with cold water to make a hot beverage, you press and hold it until it beeps. If you're brewing with hot water already, you just keep holding it until it beeps again, and then you're golden. So let's press and hold. That's a beep. And now it's heating. So the machine heats up in, as they say, 200 seconds on the website. I don't know why they just say, don't say like just over 3 minutes, because 200 seconds is kind of an arbitrary amount of time that people don't really have like a reference to, but just over 3 minutes from cold water to hot, and then it'll brew. that's pretty much all else there is to say about this machine. So while this is brewing and heating up, let's prep a shot of ground espresso. I'm not gonna heat up my own water, but I'll brew it that way just to speed things along, so I have to heat up another round. We're just gonna brew this one cold, so this one won't turn out well that I'm gonna make with the ground espresso, but I'm not drinking it anyway. All right, so what you will need for ground espresso is you'll need ground coffee. I didn't have any with me, but I do have this portable coffee grinder, which we sell. So let's take the bottom off of this. I have not dialed this in. Just like any other manual espresso machine, you will want to dial in this machine. It's tamped. You can get a bad puck. You can get it, you know, too bitter, too sour. I'm not going to do all that right here in the middle of the woods. If you plan on brewing with freshly ground beans on your trip, or wherever you're going with this thing, I would just suggest that you do that at home, maybe the day before, and dial it in so you're not working on that in the middle of the woods or wherever you end up. So we have our 1.21 Columbia espresso right here, not sealed, because, well, I didn't seal it when I took it from the store. So we're gonna grab this, and I don't know how much exactly we'll need. We basically need to fill this scoop. So I'm just gonna chuck in a kind of arbitrary amount and spill some in the process. That'll be more than enough, I think. So we've got our espresso there. Let's take this handle off the top, and then we can dump all of this into the grinder. Missed some. Put that back on the bottom. Grab the handle and start grinding. So this grinder isn't set. Again, it's not dialed in. The shot I make from this will probably suck. I think I last used this grinder for drip coffee. So it's definitely not programmed. It's definitely not set to a fineness or coarseness for espresso, but it'll work enough for demonstration purposes, right? So currently grinding while this is heating. The lights do light up in sequence as it gets more and more heated up. So it's at 2 solid and 1 flashing out of the 4 lights. So probably 70% of the way there, and then it'll start brewing once it gets fully filled. Let's see, is this enough? Okay, so you can actually hear, you can hear it heating up. So it sounds a lot like any other espresso machine as it's heating up. I'm just gonna bang this out. Let's see, is that enough? All right, so it's beeped again. It is now brewing. And it's brewing right into that cup underneath it. And you can see it filling up there as it's going. And it's going pretty quick. So we're getting a full, perfect espresso right there, right out of the Nespresso capsule. Very fresh. And it'll probably be great to warm up because it is getting cold as the sun is going down. Alrighty, let's set this stuff down. Not done with it yet. And let's check out this espresso. So we can just pull that off the bottom right here. Wow, there we go. I'm gonna set this down right here. Well, let's get a closer look at that. So beautiful crema on there. It's kind of hard to see, especially with this tinted glass, but beautiful crema. And yeah, it smells great. It's nice and warm. Couldn't be better, really. Especially considering how small this machine is. I think that it's really a great option. I'm gonna put that back on there for now just to hold it, to keep it warm, while we work on the manual grinding process. Okay, so this grinder maybe wasn't perfect for this application. Just happens to be the only portable handheld grinder I have. What would probably be the best bet is to just buy pre-ground espresso for this situation and use the scoop and scoop it out and not have to grind in the middle of the woods. Or if you did all your grinding beforehand, bring a little bag of pre-ground espresso and then you'll be golden. You won't have to do all this. But I got roughly a scoop out of it. So this is filled now somewhat with espresso. This shot's gonna suck. It's just to show you how it works. So the bottom of this actually has a ring pattern like those fancy aftermarket tampers, and it is a tamper. So it fits perfectly into the tiny little plastic portafilter and tamps it down. So there we go, give some good pressure, clean up the edges. I don't like having a dirty portafilter. And there we go. It's probably not enough espresso in here, so this shot's probably gonna suck. I'm letting you know that. But you can see how it works and we'll go from there. Alrighty, so for this one, since we already have this cup here, and it only comes with one cup, let's say we're gonna give that to our friend who is drinking this espresso. But what are we gonna do? We can't brew another one, the cup is gone. Well, we can just get another cup. It doesn't need to be the cup that comes with it. This is a random plastic drinkware cup that I've had in my kitchen since I was a child. It was in my parents' kitchen, and now it's in mine. And it'll work just fine. So what we need to do to switch to the freshly ground espresso is take this system off, just unscrew it. Might be a bit wet and messy, but seems to have drained out pretty well. Let's take this section off, and this has the espresso, the Nespresso capsule in it. So we can set that aside. We can, deal with that later if we want, or we could dump it out right now. Doesn't really matter. What we do next is we get the portafilter, if we want to call it that, put the lid on it like so, and then just stick that in there, screw it back on, and now we have another system ready. I did get some coffee on my hands there. I'll have to wipe that off, but that is no big deal. This cup seems like it's almost the perfect size. Okay, so we're pretty much ready to go now. We just need to put water in the top. I'm gonna show off the system as if we put hot water in. The water I have in here is actually just like kind of warm. It's not hot. So this isn't gonna brew super well, but just showing it off. Doesn't have to taste good. So let's fill it up again, roughly 50 milliliters. We are setting this thing up for failure right now. We don't have enough coffee in there, I'm almost sure of it. And we're putting in cold water and just running it straight through for a quick brew. But it should work good enough. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and hold that. First beep. And now it's just going right to brewing. And we can actually pick it up. And you can see that awesome crema right there. Put it back down a little bit. But you can basically brew into anything, which is really cool. You don't need to have that cup on the bottom. Yeah, this shot is gonna be terrible. That looks awful. It is all crema because there is not enough espresso in there. It is probably not packed down tight enough. It's probably the wrong grind size, and it's cold water. But it works, right? If we had done everything right, it would look awesome, and it would be just as good as this shot right here. But I'm far too lazy to do all that when it's this cold out. Okay, so now I got a couple little stats for you about the machine that I have noted down here. It only weighs 670 grams. Now you may be wondering, if you're just a regular espresso drinker, why does the weight of a machine matter? For something like this, if you're a hiker, camper, climber, someone who wants to have this in their pack and they don't want to have something super heavy, 670 grams, less than a kilo, just over a pound. Works perfect. You will need to bring the water though, unless you have access to water source where you're going. So keep that in mind. Heats up in just 200 seconds. I said that, I'm reiterating again. They say just 200 seconds, as if that's super quick. I feel like that's what would be expected, but whatever. It achieves up to 92 degrees Celsius, which is 198 Fahrenheit, and 20 bars of pressure, which is pretty good and pretty hot. So as I said before, this thing does charge with USB-C, and it can charge in a house outlet, in a car outlet, pretty much anywhere, even a portable charger, that'll charge this thing. So no matter what you got power-wise, it could probably give power to this and get power to you through caffeine and coffee. All right, so that pretty much sums up the Outin. It's a great machine overall. It does exactly what it needs to do. And it's basically like an espresso machine put in a little handheld unit, which is kind of great and super awesome. You don't need to deal with making a fire or anything like that if you're outside. And you can bring it anywhere. You can keep it in your car. You could just want an espresso, keep it in the car, take it out of the back seat, you know? It's a great little product. Anyways, thank you for watching. I've been Jack. If you'd like to buy this machine, you can buy it on our website or in the shop section down below this video, or maybe beside it. Depends what device you're using. Yeah, take care.